my friends, this is Jude. Welcome back. And as you see from the background, it's time to think about the holidays. So this is the second annual The Holiday Shop. And so I am so excited to bring to you, way in time for gift giving season, great Catholic businesses that will give you a vast array of products to choose from when you're thinking about gift giving that special someone. Let's give the gift of faith in the things that we give to others, those symbols that will remind us of our stronghold, which is our faith. So today I'm so overjoyed to have Allison from Humble Mission Beads here today. Hi, Allison. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh,
And
yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah.
oh, great. This is a great kickstart. And I wanted to open up so that the viewers would get an idea about you.
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit about
Sure.
yourself?
Yeah. It's something that I find we don't talk about a lot on our Instagram. It's always uncomfortable to talk about yourself so much, but people really seem to enjoy our wacky story. so um, my husband is in the Space Force, and so we were in the Air Force for 17 years, and we recently transitioned to the Space Force. And my career previously was in opera, and I studied opera and started teaching opera at universities, and I worked with rehabilitating injured voices, and it was a really neat field. And I worked with hospitals and universities, and it was a really wonderful field. And I started feeling called away from that shortly after we had our daughter, when she was almost 2. I was feeling this tug on my heart to leave, and my husband and I didn't understand why, but we thought this is definitely, it felt right to leave. And so I started staying home with my daughter. And during that time, I started making bracelets. I just had this idea that I was given all these medals, and I thought, I want a really neat way to wear these medals. And so I couldn't find a bracelet that I had in my mind for it. So I thought, I'll just make it. And I had no experience doing that. And so I remember I put my daughter on the back of my bike, and we rode over to Michael's and bought supplies. And I came home and made this little bracelet, and I loved it. And I was so proud of it. I sent pictures to my parents and said, look at what I made. And it was not at all as nice as they are now. But it had the same idea. And over the years, it's grown and improved. And shortly after I left my job, that's when we experienced our first miscarriage. And that's when it became very evident that I would not have been able to do that work while going through these miscarriages. And we had repeat miscarriages. And so I was so sick, and I was home with my daughter, and I was making this jewelry just when she would nap, I would make it. Or when we were driving around town and my husband was driving, I would make these bracelets in the car. And it just became a time of prayer and a creative outlet. And it was a beautiful way for me to start fusing my creativity with my faith. And it was a big time of growth for our family and our faith during that time.
So it was almost a therapy in a way, as you said, because I've experienced miscarriages too. So I'm sorry for your losses.
Yeah.
And I really feel that calling that you had. And of course you answer that. You were willing to see where that would take you.
Yeah. And it was wild because I spent my whole life, from the time I was 6, I was singing, I was in singing lessons. My whole life, I was a singer. That was when people would say, tell me about yourself, I would say, I am a singer. And I identified as that. And so it was a big time of change, where I realized I'm not a singer. Like, that's not who I am. And it's something I did. And it was a gift that I was given for that phase of life. And so it was a neat time to begin to look at who God created me to be, and what my vocation was, and what I was being called to do. And yeah, and yeah, perhaps it was therapeutic to create,
Mhm.
and it was, yeah, it was definitely, it's always been, it still is a way of growing my prayer life and my relationship with the Lord, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love creating all of it, and it's fun to
Yes.
share. And
And
my husband,
I want to just tell everyone to go to your website, because go to the Etsy shop, Humble Mission Beads. I have it pulled up here. I don't know
oh
if you can
yeah,
see it.
that's it.
And so it will show you all the beautiful items that you have created. And that's why I love bringing creators on, because everyone is so unique. But this really
Mhm.
touched my heart because of that connection to even your proceeds, a portion of your proceeds. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So shortly after we had our miscarriages, uh, my husband and I began compiling boxes of the items a woman and a family might need when they experience a loss. And so these boxes are intended for women who are told their babies passed away in utero, but have not yet passed the baby. So it's the items that they would need to have the miscarriage at home and retrieve the remains for burial. And so um, we include pads, we include a strainer, we include burial garments. And so it's really, it's the stuff people we don't want to talk about because it's
Mhm.
just so, it's so raw, and
Mhm.
it's so difficult. But
Mhm.
we get requests from families all the time, and
Mhm.
we find out, where they are in the process, how they're doing, and then we usually end up having to overnight the box. And so we ship boxes all over the nation,
Mhm.
and it's filled with the items they would need during and the items they would need to help with the recovery and resources, and it's
That's so
really,
beautiful. It's a mission
yeah,
that I think I know when at the time when I had my miscarriages,
yeah,
there was very little support. There was very
yes,
little, it was almost as if you were meant to just go on and,
yes,
and bury all of that. And that's what I did.
yeah,
So I think it's so important today to bring it out in the open, and there's
yeah,
healing and there's the recognition of that life that is
yeah,
so important to do that. And we
yeah,
know as Catholics that, you know, the burial is such an important part. That
yes,
that rite of passage, that burial, that that place,
yes.
that of memorial. So
And we
I
know that's
love that.
not possible for every family, but for
Mhm.
the ones where it is possible, they often don't receive the information, and
Mhm.
often they aren't healthy enough to go get the items they need. And no one wants to call up their friend and say, "Hey, can you get me a container of pads? And I need a
Mhm.
strainer." And it's too much. And so
Mhm.
that's our hope, is that it helps families to find peace during that time, because our family, we found that it was a life-giving time. Despite the loss of life, it
Mhm.
was a time that we grew in our faith, and we grew as a married couple and as a family, and it was just,
Mhm.
it's been wonderful, even
God
though
bless
it's
you.
horribly sad. Oh, no,
God
thank you.
bless you for all you
Yeah,
do. And I'm sure many people that are viewing this out there um, will, look to you for comfort and solace. And these
mm,
items that you create too can be wonderful ways and gifts too to remember those that have
yes,
gone before us.
that's
So I'm
part of
so
what we hope.
excited.
Thank you. That's what we hope is, when I create stuff, I often think, could this be given as a gift to a woman who lost a baby and the family doesn't know how to talk about it with her?
Mhm.
So if the grandmother doesn't know what to do, what to buy for her, the beautiful gifts that acknowledge the life that they lost and acknowledge their suffering, and then we always try to add a little sparkle to things so that it helps people to see the joy that can be found in the suffering. And so we try to just make gifts that are full of hope and just steeped in our faith.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. These
Thank
are
you.
this is a beautiful mission, and thank you
Thank you.
for accepting the
Oh,
call. So we're
Yeah.
excited to see some of the
Yeah.
items. You have everything there. So we'll just give it
Yeah.
over to you and go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So I'll start, since we've been talking about miscarriage, I'll start with one of our rosary bracelets. So our rosary bracelets, what's different about these is they have wire that runs through them. So it makes them really sturdy, so that if you have little children that are tugging on your arm, our bracelets won't snap. They're very durable, and then they open and close. You yank them apart. That's our technical term. You yank them apart, and then you pull the strings, and then you have these tassels that hang from the strings. And the tassels, every single bracelet comes with a card explaining the history of tassels in our Catholic faith, and where tassels are found throughout the Bible, and how tassels signify all different things about Christ and how he's the new covenant. And so every single bracelet comes with a card explaining that. And then this one is, it's tricky to see because it's so delicate, but this is a St. Catherine of Sweden, and she is the patron saint of miscarriage. So it's a very subtle gift, but it acknowledges what a woman might be experiencing. And we've also found that these are good gifts for women to give their midwives or their care providers too, people who helped care for them during that time. So that's one of the. Oh,
Beautiful. I just love that, the meaning behind everything that you're putting into that piece. There's a meaning for it. And that's beautiful. And I also love the fact that it does have the drawstring. That is so nice. I have very tiny wrists, so I have a lot of times trouble finding a bracelet that fits, and that one you just secure and it will, fit to you. It's custom made.
That's right. Yes, that's what's nice is that I get people who say, "Will it fit my wrist?" all the time, and I say, "It'll fit your wrist." And they open so wide, and then they just slip right over, and then to close them, you just close them, and they can close very small. My daughter can wear them, and she's 8 years old, and so they can close very small. And then
how pretty that looks, even with your bracelet that you have on, so you can stack them.
Yeah, I wear mine stacked all the time. And then what's easy is that if you are sitting somewhere or driving somewhere and you want to pray, you have some time to pray your rosary, get a decade in, you can easily slip them on and off. And then if you say, "Oh, I got interrupted," you can just slip it back on, and they don't fall off. Even if you don't close the tassel all the way, they stay on. So you don't have to worry about them slipping off. And then
so
when
there
you
would
know,
be the 10 beads then, Allison? The 10
yes,
beads
ma'am.
for the decade?
Yeah, each one has 10 beads. And so, so you can pray a decade, and then you can easily, I just flip it around and start going the other way. And then they all have, at the beginning with each medal, they have a crucifix with them, and then a freshwater pearl. My hand's in the way. So they have a freshwater pearl and a crucifix to show the start of the rosary.
So beautiful, so unique.
Thank you very much. And we have all different materials that we use for them. And what we try to do is every bead, I'll look at a bead and then I'll think, "Oh, that would be great for this saint." Or so we have medals of Saint Elizabeth of the Trinity. She is a Carmelite saint. She was a contemporary of Saint Therese of Lisieux, and she lived in Dijon in France. And so we use this beautiful gold-plated smoky quartz. So you can see how it has gold and the smoky quartz bead, and it's just a radiant bead. She wrote a lot about the indwelling of the Trinity. And so we worked with the Carmelite sisters in Dijon, and they send us these medals from France. So the backside is in French, and it says, "My God, my Trinity, whom I adore," in French. And so the Carmelite sisters, we send them pictures of our designs, and they it's not that they approve it, but they tell us, they give us their blessing with it, and then we share them with everyone. So
how special that is. I love that.
It's a really enjoyable process to talk.
And you know what? It sounds like you really are growing in your faith because you converted to Catholicism.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
But just hearing you speak, you are really, your knowledge is really growing. And we know we have so much to learn. We have so many saints. So every day we can really look to the saints and look to the church to to guide us and to give us inspiration and hope. And that's what you're doing.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really sweet of you to say. My spiritual director, we often talk about like, don't worry about focusing on growing in intelligence, grow in virtue. So that's been my focus. But to hear you say how I sound like I've grown in intelligence, I'm like, well, that's pretty nice, because I'm not trying to work on that, but it's a neat added gift that comes along with it.
It is a grace that comes, and there is, from so many Catholics that have converted, I see there's such a passion and an exuberance. So we can tell, we can see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I love the church. It's that's what we focus our days around it now. I homeschool our children, and all of our days are just based on the liturgical year and the church, and we love it. It's home. It really is. Yeah. So I brought other rosary bracelets just to give a hint at all the different colors we have. And we always try to keep Saint Therese in stock. We love Saint Therese. I didn't love Saint Therese for many years, and now I do. And our medals, the ones that have color around them, they're hand poured enamel, and we often pick them up when our family goes on pilgrimage to missions in the U.S. And then we get vintage medals that people send to us. So this is a vintage miraculous medal that we clean them up and we put them on our rosaries, and they make really special gifts. And the neat thing is when we refinish them, we don't try to make them look brand new. We like to keep the signs of the wear and the age of them, because it shows the years of devotion and prayer that have gone into these items, these devotionals and sacramentals. So when we have vintage ones, we like to pair them with colors that bring out the wear. So
yes, I could see that. And that is so special, because that devotion has been probably passed on through the generations, and you're just, you're doing that when you're creating with a piece like that, you're gifting it to someone who probably will pass it on to someone that they love, and share the gift of faith that way. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we hope that our pieces become heirloom pieces, handcrafted heirloom gifts for people to share with one another. So thank you. I love that you see that. We also make, this is our earrings. We make 24 and 14 karat gold earrings. These are really small. They're hard to photograph in general, but these are little Our Lady of Guadalupe. So let's see if I can get them. And they're so delicate. And the wire on them that goes through the ear, it actually has this, it's cut in a faceted way, so that when you put the earring in, that whole earring sparkles, and they're just a beautiful, delicate reminder of Our Lady. And then I love
the size too, Allison. I love that size. I like to have earrings in all different sizes. They seem so lightweight.
They are. They're very lightweight. They aren't super heavy metals, so that they don't stretch the ear or pull on it. They're just a very delicate, sweet gift that, and when I see them on people, I always gasp, because I can't believe they're wearing something I made, and then it looks so nice on them as well. So it's a treat to see. And then we also make these necklaces now that these are very different. We make them in all different colors and styles, but we started making these really kind of funky necklaces. This is another Our Lady of Guadalupe medal, but it's on a carabiner. So we have all these different clasps that we use. And this is a very big, chunky clasp. And then we'll see if I can put it on camera. That'll be the trick. But when it goes on.
Yeah, you're probably very good. Yeah, not even having to visually see. You can just feel it. And
I got it.
That's very different. That's very unique. I love that. And look at the way that it hits right at that neckline.
Yes, and if you were to wear a high collar shirt with it, it would hit just like that. And it just, I love them, because, and we make them in all different colors and styles and with different clasps. And so we're coming out with a bunch for Christmas, because I thought, what a neat gift to give someone who likes who loves the faith and just
Mhm.
you want to give them something unique and different. And so I
Yes.
thought these are just such unique, beautiful gifts, that these are all gemstone beads, all different gemstones. There's jade and rose quartz, and then it's made, the metals are gold. And so it's just a stunning gift. I know I would
Wow.
love to open it.
So I just love
Yeah.
the versatility of
Oh, thank
that
you.
piece.
Yeah, I sometimes joke that this is what happens when an opera singer converts to the faith, is that you get
Oh,
all these bright colors and like really just like colorful things. And it often reminds me of what the jewelry that I would wear when I was performing, large necklaces. And
mm,
now when I wear pieces, I want them to all draw me back into, I call them the divine lover, to draw me back to the divine lover when I look at it and when I think of it and feel it on me. I just,
mm.
I don't want to wear frivolous things. I want things with a deep purpose.
Yes,
So,
yeah, and I
yeah.
bet that would get a lot of attention from someone. These
Yeah,
pieces are great conversation starters.
they are.
Somebody sees that necklace, they're drawn to it. They want to find out, oh my
Yes.
goodness, let me take a closer look.
Yes, I have customers who will write me and they'll say, I need to buy this item again because someone commented on it and I gave it to them. And so oftentimes people will buy things over and over because they just like to share them, and it starts conversations and makes relationships, which I just think is the best.
Yes,
That's what
it
it's all
is.
about. So,
It is. You're
yeah,
spreading the good news. Even a lot of people
yeah,
aren't comfortable with coming out
yes,
and talking about the faith. But there
yes,
you go. There's a doorway in
yeah,
that's very subtle,
yes.
and you can let the piece speak for itself too.
Yes, and people, and beauty is undeniable, and beauty
Mm,
draws us back to God. And so when
mm.
people acknowledge the beauty of a piece of our jewelry, it's just, it makes me squeal because it then opens the door to talk about God, but in a very subtle way, in a very beautiful way that's undeniable. And so yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Yes,
I thought
yes.
I'd show you. We also make, so this is our interior castle bracelet inspired by St. Teresa of Avila and her book, The Interior Castle, and about how God dwells deep within each of us. And so this is a moonstone gemstone that's faceted. And it's a little
Mm.
bracelet that's a very delicate bracelet. And it comes with a card that kind of gives a rough overview of the interior castle and how the demons don't belong inside. The demons stay outside, and how deep inside us, the deeper we go, we get closer to him. And so this is just a sparkly reminder of the interior castle.
Beautiful. And I love the meaning behind it. And having that card, can you imagine everyone out there giving a gift like that? First of all,
Yeah.
you would research too, because you would
Yes.
find out things you never knew, and then you're
Yeah.
going to gift it to somebody and they have that information right there. I think that's wonderful. I just wanted to mention too
Mhm.
that Allison has been so gracious to everyone that is viewing. When you order from her, she's going to include some free stickers. That's another
Yeah.
item that she offers at her site, are stickers. So she's going to
Yes.
be adding that with the code holiday shop. So I will
Yeah.
have that in the link below too, is when you order, use the
Thank you.
holiday shop for that extra bonus. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to stuff those stickers in there. And we have ones that say, join me, let's strive for sainthood. And then
Mhm.
in our shop, we also have stickers that I call them like catechetical stickers. They're stickers that remind us of the steps of Lectio Divina. And then I added the final step, which is caffeination. And so it has a little picture of coffee because how many
Oh,
times we read our Bible. And so it reminds you of the steps of Lectio, but then it's just a little joke. And don't forget the coffee. And then we
oh,
have the steps of St. Teresa of Avila's foundations of prayer, what she said the foundations were, and then the steps for daily examine. And so it's just, I really enjoy having these little reminders you can put places to remind us of there's a process to this that can help us along the way. So,
how inspiring. How
oh, thank
inspiring. I'm in
you.
awe. I'm in awe of,
Aw,
your talents. And look, I mean, I'd love to hear you sing. You don't have to do it now in this, but thinking about that was something, and I'm sure you still sing. A singer, like you said, it's always in your heart. It's always there. And so, but how God has led you to this place, and we can see it. We can see the exuberance. We can see the passion. Is there any other items that you wanted to show before?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is something I got this idea a few months ago, and I just thought I've never seen anything like it. I have to make it. And I found all the parts to make it, and so I did. And these are our silk rosaries. So they're silk and freshwater pearl rosaries. So full 5 decades. And the cord is actually a natural silk. And so each decade is made with freshwater pearls that slide. And then the cord that ties it all together is a silk. So it's not just like a nylon or a cotton or leather. It's this very feminine, very delicate silk. And we use all different crucifixes.
I love that crucifix. Very unusual.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's a very sturdy, heavy.
The foot of the cross.
Yes. Yeah. And so what's nice about these is they have a nice weight to them. They don't feel too delicate. They're very sturdy. And then we include gemstones. This is it's called a cathedral cut rose quartz. So it's a beautiful cut of a gemstone. And then we have all these freshwater pearls. And I always think that this is a great gift for like a mother or a mother-in-law or a daughter, either way. But it's just this beautiful gift you can lay out. You can keep it in your purse. But they're just,
I can just imagine when you were creating all of these different items, because these have to be tested. There's, you have to find the item, you have to find the different aspects of the roping.
Yes.
And then you test to see how does it feel, how does the bead, how is the knotting. So everyone out there, you can just marvel at somebody who has to research product development and just time to test it to see if it's going to be according to your standard, according to where it's going to be doable, usable, and
I'm sitting here in awe at how you keep a podcast going, because to me, I'm just watching. I'm like, she is so talented. This is such a gift you have. And
God bless you.
It's neat to see how our different gifts are used and how it doesn't feel like labor what I'm doing. And I'm sure it seems like the same for you.
Yes, it's funny because all my life, I've been an inquisitive person. I always love to find out the backstory. So I would be asking people 20, 30 questions just in a conversation. And people would refer to me and say, you could certainly be a reporter.
My parents say that when I was little, I would come home from school and immediately sit down and start creating. And I had a little table where I would just sit and craft and create. And so while I was singing that whole time, the one thing that just brought peace into my life was creating. And so it's neat to see how those, like what you mentioned, how people always notice something, those little threads throughout your life, and how it's so neat how it's planted there from the beginning.
Yes. And we always have to say yes and answer that call. And I've enjoyed so much meeting you, as my viewers have. And remember, everybody, go to the links below